Welcome to Data Strategic Advantage Channel. Our topic today is metadata.
Great topic. Very relevant.
Absolutely. We're all just swimming in data these days. It really feels like trying to navigate this huge library where none of the books have titles or authors on the spine.
Mm-hmm.
And to really get ahead, you don't just need the books. You need to understand what they're about, where the specific information is, how it all, fits together.
That's a perfect analogy, actually. Organizations know data is valuable, right?
Right.
But without that proper catalog, like you said, a lot of that value just stays hidden.
Right.
And that catalog in the data world, that's essentially metadata. It's what brings some order to all that potential chaos.
Okay, so this data explosion we're seeing, metadata is the key to actually making sense of it. So our mission today, let's really dig into what metadata actually is, why it's so critical for any organization that wants to use its data well, and, how it works in practice, like understanding the Rosetta Stone for your data.
Exactly. Without it, you're trying to read a foreign language with no dictionary, no translator. So let's start right there, the basic question.
Yeah.
What is metadata?
Simple terms.
Yeah, lay it on us. What's the core idea?
Well, at its most basic level, metadata is just data about data. Simple as that.
Okay.
It's the descriptive stuff, the information that gives context and meaning to your actual data points. Think about a digital photo.
Okay.
The picture itself, that's the data. But the metadata, that's the date and time it was taken, maybe the camera settings, GPS location.
Ah, right. Everything about the photo, not the photo itself.
Exactly. It tells you what the data is, maybe where it came from, how you can use it.
Gotcha. So it's the difference between just having a pile of ingredients on the counter and actually having the recipe that tells you what to do with them.
Precisely. And what's really interesting is where this metadata comes from. It's not just tacked on at the end. No, it's generated all through the data lifecycle, right? From when data is created, how it's structured, data modeling, stewardship, governance rules.
Yeah.
Wow.
Data quality checks, systems development, IT operations, business processes, even analytics. It's kind of woven into everything.
So it's really integral then, not just some optional extra. That really underlines why managing it is so important. But, okay, dig deeper. Why is it so vital? What happens if you don't manage your metadata properly?
Well, you just can't manage what you don't understand, right?
Right.
And good data management, impossible without understanding the data itself. And that understanding comes from well-managed metadata. It's like the map, the guide to all the information floating around your organization.
Okay.
It lets you see what data you actually have, where it is, what it means, how you could potentially use it. Imagine trying to find one specific file on a totally messy, disorganized hard drive.
Yeah. Nightmare scenario. That's what it's like without good metadata.
Pretty much. And the consequences of letting it get messy are real.
What kind of consequences are we talking about? Sounds like serious headaches.
Oh, absolutely. Poorly managed metadata just breeds chaos. You start seeing redundant data popping up everywhere, redundant processes too, because people don't realize something already exists or they don't understand it.
Wasted effort.
Totally. You might find the same piece of metadata stored in 5 different places, but with slightly different definitions in each.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Very. Because when your data element definitions are inconsistent across the board, that leads to a huge risk of misusing the data. And ultimately, making bad decisions based on flawed understanding. It's like everyone speaking slightly different dialects of the same language. Misunderstandings are bound to happen.
So it hits efficiency, cost, and the reliability of your insights. Okay, that makes the benefits of doing it right sound pretty compelling then. What are the upsides?
Oh, huge upsides. Good metadata management really multiplies the value you get from your data. Simple as that.
How so?
When people actually understand the data, what it means, its quality, where it came from, its lineage, they can pull out meaningful insights much faster and, crucially, with more confidence.
Makes sense.
Plus, metadata is really the bedrock of effective data governance. It gives you that essential context about the data and the processes your organization relies on.
Yeah.
You need that context to set up and actually enforce good governance policies. Trying to do governance without metadata. It's like trying to enforce laws without actually writing them down clearly.
That's a great point. Governance needs that clarity metadata provides.
Exactly. And think about reusable business metadata. Having those consistent definitions for your key terms, understanding the relationships between data across different projects, that eliminates so much confusion. It helps teams collaborate better, ensures everyone's on the same page. In big organizations with complex projects, that consistency is gold.
Okay, so we get the what and the why. Now, you mentioned earlier there are different ways to sort of structure or architect metadata. Can you expand on that a bit? What are the main approaches?
Sure. It's not really a one-size-fits-all thing. Organizations tend to lean towards one of three main models: centralized, distributed, or a hybrid model that mixes them.
Okay, centralized first.
Right. A centralized metadata architecture means you try to bring all or most of your metadata into one single unified repository.
Sounds clean, like one place to look for everything.
Advantages.
Disadvantages.
Exactly. The big advantage is having that single source of truth. Makes managing it and accessing it generally easier. But yeah, the downside is it can become a bottleneck if it's not managed well, and it's a single point of failure.
Right. Okay, what about distributed?
Distributed keeps the metadata physically closer to the systems where the actual data lives.
Ah, so more localized, managed closer to the source.
Yeah, which can sometimes improve performance for those systems, and it makes it easier for the people working directly with that data to maintain its metadata. But
There's always a but.
always, it can lead to inconsistencies between the different pockets of metadata,
Yeah,
and it makes getting that complete organization-wide view much harder.
gotcha. And the hybrid takes a bit from both.
You guessed it. A hybrid approach might have a central repository for the really critical enterprise-wide stuff, but allow specific departments or systems to manage their own local metadata too.
Oh,
The trick is finding the right balance for your organization's needs, its size, its complexity.
interesting. Definitely a strategic choice there. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How does this stuff actually get used day to day? Can you give us some real-world examples of metadata in action?
Absolutely. This is where you see the practical value. A really key one is data lineage and impact analysis.
Lineage, tracing the data's path.
Exactly. Metadata tools can track the entire journey of data as it moves between systems, gets transformed, merged, whatever. This gives you incredible insight for understanding how data flows,
Hmm.
for digging in data quality problems,
Mm-hmm.
and also for figuring out the potential impact if you need to change a system. Like if we change this field here, what downstream reports or processes will break.
Wow, okay. Being able to trace an error back to the source or
Yeah.
predict the fallout from a change, that sounds incredibly useful. What else?
Think about a business glossary. This is basically a curated dictionary for your organization's key data and business terms.
Making sure everyone speaks the same language.
Precisely. It provides clear, consistent definitions. Often, data stewards, the people responsible for specific data assets, maintain these. It's crucial for avoiding confusion between departments. Could be a simple spreadsheet or a really robust, purpose-built system.
Ensures common understanding. Makes sense. Any others?
Yeah, data integration is a big one.
Mm.
When you're pulling data together from lots of different places, sourcing, transforming, loading it into a target system like a data warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Metadata repositories document all of that. The technical structure of the source data, its business meaning, the rules used to transform or clean it where it ends up. These repositories often hold the transformation logic itself, the lineage information for the integrated data, and even the schedules for when these integration jobs run. It's like the blueprint for your data pipelines.
So the instruction manual for how data moves and changes. Got it.
Exactly. And metadata isn't just for structured data, like in databases. It's also vital for unstructured data. Think documents, images, videos, audio files.
Oh, interesting. How does that work?
Through things like controlled vocabularies, taxonomies, which are like hierarchical classification systems. Think folders and subfolders. But for concepts and just general tagging, this metadata makes all that unstructured content searchable and discoverable.
Right, so you can actually find that contract or that specific video clip later.
You got it. The line between traditional document management and what we now call content management is getting really blurry, and metadata is the thing that powers the systems providing those capabilities.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought much about metadata for like Word docs, but yeah, search depends on it.
Absolutely vital for knowledge management. And one more big one,
Yeah.
data quality. Metadata and data quality are really tightly linked. Processes like data profiling, where you analyze the data to understand its patterns and find anomalies. These often highlight areas where not only the data is bad, but the metadata describing it is wrong or missing too.
Ah, so fixing one helps fix the other.
Often, yes. And crucially, your metadata should include things like security classifications or regulatory tags like flagging PII or GDPR relevant data. This ensures sensitive information gets the protection it needs. It's not just what the data is, but how you need to treat it.
Right, governance and security again. It really does seem to touch almost everything data related. So, pulling this together, what are the absolute key things organizations need to think about when they're setting up or improving their metadata management?
Well, number one, you need to define a solid metadata architecture, something that can actually pull metadata from all your different sources, databases, files, applications, cloud services, you name it. And it needs to support both automated extraction and manual updates or curation. You usually need both.
Makes sense. Needs to be flexible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then you need clear responsibility. Who owns what metadata? Who's accountable for keeping it accurate and up to date?
Right. Clear roles.
And quality standards, but for the metadata itself. Inaccurate or incomplete metadata can sometimes be worse than none at all, right? Because it misleads people.
Good point. Garbage in, garbage out applies to the descriptions too.
Exactly. And as we just touched on, security. How are you protecting the metadata? Who gets to see what? Some metadata might be sensitive itself.
Okay, protect the information about the information. Got it.
And finally, even if you have a distributed or hybrid approach, having some kind of central metadata repository or catalog is usually essential. It acts as that core index, helps ensure the integrity of things like your enterprise data model, and gives people that reliable place to go to understand the data landscape.
So it kind of comes back to having that reliable, well-managed central reference point. Even if some management is delegated, it really drives home that metadata isn't just a technical detail. It's foundational for any serious data strategy.
It really is. It's the absolute key to unlocking the real value sitting in your data assets. Without good metadata, you're just guessing, working with a blindfold on.
This has been super insightful. Really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? How well is my organization managing its metadata, and what opportunities are we missing because we haven't tackled this strategically?
Exactly. It begs the question, really. What's the unseen value locked away in your data right now, just waiting to be found and understood, if only you had the right metadata map to guide you?
A very powerful thought to end on. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of metadata for today.
Hope it was useful.
Definitely. And for everyone listening, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a comment if there's a specific data topic you'd like us to tackle next time.